Braves won tonight, and we got a whole week of baseball ahead of us. Let's get into it. What is good, y'all? How are y'all doing tonight? Braves wins. That means that I'm doing well because, my happiness during the summer obviously depends on the Braves, as every emotionally supportive or emotionally stable sports fan should be relying their ability to live the next day on sports teams. But man, a great win from the Braves. I believe the Mets score is now final. I saw that they had the bases loaded, but there's like 2 outs. Yeah. So then they lost 9-1 to the Astros, which means the Braves are now 4 games behind first place. I mean, obviously watching Sunday night's game, you can't help but think, dang, you should really be 3 games out of first right now instead of 4. But obviously, blown saves are part of baseball. Jensen's down the IR with a regular heartbeat, which obviously prayers to him. Hope everything's okay because a regular heartbeat is more life-threatening than your normal IR injury. So you just want to hope everything's okay there. But yeah, get into the game, obviously. An explosive first inning, to say none the least. Swanson obviously gets out. On the first pitch, he flies out. But then d'Arnaud and Olsen go back-to-back. Both solo shots. I don't know. Hold on. I think that is d'Arnaud's 11th and Olsen's 12th. I mean, his 11th as he hits his 12th later in the night. Man, starting with a bang. And then obviously Riley strikes out and Ozuna grounds out. I would like to say there's no reason Ozuna should be batting whatever he's batting 5th in the lineup every night still. He never puts up a good fight, and he's always just very sloppy. And obviously now you have to play him because Acuna's out, and so you nobody else in the field. But man, every at bat is just a struggle with him. It feels like a strikeout or a home run, and 99.9% of the time it's a strikeout. And his off the field stuff. I know a lot of people are split on that. Like, oh, he went through all the service time, and his wife are fine now. But it's just it feels weird having him out there every day still, especially at the 5 spot. I don't know why Snake here continues putting him at the 5 spot, especially over. I mean, like, I guess you like the idea of RC being 9 because you get that like double lead off type thing. But I mean, if there's anyone deservedly to move up in the lineup, it's Harris. But obviously, maybe keep him at 9 because he feels so comfortable in 9. I don't really know, but no reason Ozuna should be hitting 5th. Good lord. And low-key, I'd rather have Contreras out there and left than Ozuna because Ozuna's glove is not it, and his arm is dead, and I'm sure Contreras can throw a ball better than he can. But yeah, to get on to the game, for the score back in top of the first, Morton in first inning trouble is just like the greatest duo in baseball, apparently. I really don't know what else to say about it. He just struggles. He walks guys. He gets the singles. A lot of the time it is softer contact. It doesn't feel like he gives up the long ball very much when it comes to first inning stuff. But, just be nice to see him get through that clean inning. Obviously, Anderson struggles with the same thing. And Anderson's much less of a refined pitcher than Morton is at this point in both their careers. So it's something you'd like to see Morton be able to figure out. And obviously, Anderson's is starting to become a little worrying, but Anderson is a different topic for a different day. But he does get out of it. He strikes out Gregorius and Herrera, which Morton's ability to strike dudes out this year, I if you told me to tell you how often he struck dudes out, especially before he got into the Braves, I'd be like, he probably was a contact pitcher. He was a strikeout, but But these years, these 2 years he's been with the Braves, very much high strikeouts, um, which you don't hate to see it, but you would love to see him. He gets those quick innings sometimes. Like the fifth inning had 9 pitches in it because he just pitched and he pitched for outs. He didn't pitch for strikeouts, which I mean obviously sort of similar, but being able to pitch your outs, even like first pitch, second pitch outs, is so much better than you have to throw through at least 3 pitches to get a strikeout. And a lot of times in majors, it take a lot more than 3 pitches to strike and do that. Um, and so you really stay like landlocked in the score for the second inning. Nothing happens. It's 3 up, 3 down for both sides. Well, the Phillies had a guy get on and it got picked off, which, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. I feel like the Braves got to be towards the top of the league in pickoffs because, I mean, obviously Freed, whose pickoff move is filthy, and then Orton has a very solid move himself. Minter, I believe, has a pretty good move. A lot of the lefties on the team have good pickoff moves. So I assume the Braves are towards the top of the league, but it's one of those stats where you don't really know. And then d'Arnaud gives you backup because Harris is just so good. Leads off first pitch single and just dumps it into right field. And then on a deep fly out to right field, he's still second, or he tags up and takes second, which is something you don't see very often. Just once again shows you the elite speed that Michael Harris has. You would love, obviously, you get that speed a little higher up in the order, but once again, if you keep it at 9, and when Acuna comes back, you get that double lead off type thing. Or if Harris gets on, Acuna just has to hit something deep enough where he can move over, and the rest of the lineup can take care of it. So I'm personally fine with keeping that 9. I always think if a dude's comfortable where he is, you don't mess with him. Like obviously, at some point, people are going to want Acuna to move out at first. He's so comfortable at first. Why are you moving him out at first? Like Freeman was always in third because he was just comfortable in the third spot. Like he batted fourth a few times, he batted second a few times, and the lineup where he batted second with Ozuna at third in 2020 was very good, but Ozuna had a career year, obviously, and so slightly different circumstances there. And then because Harris is fast enough to tag up from second, when d'Arnaud just drops a single into right center, Harris goes from second to home and scores, and so that gives you the 2-run cushion again. And from there, you do stay scoreless until the bottom of the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, Morton gets himself into some trouble. He strikes out Realmuto, which you strike out Realmuto, and then you're like, oh, well, with the Gregorius and Herrera coming up next, you feel pretty good about your odds of getting out of the inning unscathed. But Gregorius triples probably could have been a double and then an error on Ozuna with the advancement to third. Not guaranteed that he doesn't make it 3 if Ozuna doesn't slide forward, but man, Ozuna just out there is such a liability. Grace does a good job stretching out to 3. I was worried it was going to be an inside the Parker for a second because Ozuna's slow and busting it down the line, trying to get up to the ball. And so after that, Herrera grounds out to second. You're just fine at that point, exchanging the out for the runner, and Bohm singles, and then can't remember if Lee comes in. No, Stott singles, and then Lee comes in, and he gets Moniak to fly out to center. On Bohm's single to left center, that almost certainly should have been. On Stott's single to center, it almost certainly should have been another run scored, but Harris does a great job. His speed cuts it off, and somehow, I don't know how Bohm doesn't score or Stott doesn't get to second, because, man, Harris just covers so much ground. His jump is elite. Obviously, it was great to see on ESPN against the Dodgers to see him and Strider show out because, you don't get into – neither of them were super high prospects. Obviously, Harris was the number 1 Braves prospect, but I don't know where he was in top 100. He couldn't have been too high. But when you don't have high-rating prospects, but they're doing really good and you think they should be in the Rookie of the Year race, the way to prove it is play well on national TV, and Strider and Harris played amazingly on national TV. Strider pitched great. Harris made a huge defensive stops and got a couple of hits, I believe, which is things you love to see. Um, and then the Braves offense continues to stutter. The next guy to get on was Duvall, and he got hit by a pitch. So, like, really, did your offense produce that? No, your offense didn't produce that base runner. And then the bottom seven, Schwarber leads off with a first pitch home run on a hanging curveball from Lee. Dylan Lee been so great this year, and so you can't really blame him for giving it up. But obviously, game tired. At that point, I feel like a lot of Braves are like fans are like, "Oh, here we go again." But luckily, Lee was just settled down. McHugh came back in, and McHugh, I think, is going to be an underrated part of the Braves postseason run because his stuff is nasty. He's got the experience, and he doesn't need fastball command. And people sit fastballs so heavily in the postseason and absolutely crush it. And obviously, Solaire's home run didn't come off of a fastball. The big home runs in the Braves postseason didn't come off fastball, but oftentimes they do. And so being able to have a guy that just throws you off speed day after day, and even his off speed has huge differential in speed, I think will be such an important piece to the postseason part push that hopefully the Braves will make this year once again. However, Olsen says, "Let me put y'all on my back." I saw a stat to see his head. He has 5 hits. He has 5 total hits at the Phillies stadium, and all 5 have been home runs. That's pretty crazy. He barely got that one over. He just cleared the right center wall, which I know keeps a lot of home runs in. So being able to get 2 home runs with one of them going to that part of the park is big. And obviously, had defensive replacements in the 8th. McHugh kept pitching. He got a ground out and 2 strikeouts. McHugh is going to be so huge. I guess you could say he's going to be McHuge. Sorry for the bad pun. In the 9th, you see Duvall add in some insurance runs that he gets a double that Arcia scores on. Arcia, funnily enough, blows through Wash stop sign. You don't see Wash put up a stop sign very often. And he blew by it. He was like, "No, I'm scoring on this." And if had the throw been better, he probably would have been out. But the throw was on the outside of the line, and Arcia was able to slide in and score, which was huge insurance run. And then Minter came in, took care of things. I know Minter struggled in his previous outings. I know he was good against the Dodgers on Sunday, but I think it was like 3 of the last 5 outings before tonight he'd given up a run after giving up like no runs in 28 straight innings or whatever it was. So nice to see him come in, have a huge inning. I do like the fact that Stinker decided to go to Duvall might score the next at bat anyways with the ground out to Didi. But you never know, obviously, because I thought Contreras should have scored the other night in extras after the ground ball to Turner. Was it Turner? And he didn't even run for some reason, so who knows on those. I do like that Snicker went to Minter over Will Smith to close the game. I think it's interesting. Obviously, I like that. And so that was pretty much the game for the Braves. Good game, good pitching. Obviously, 3 runs. You can't ask for much better pitching at the Philly Stadium because balls tend to fly out there. But yeah, so McHugh got the win because, baseball rules are weird. Will Smith is apparently to go tomorrow for his. Okay, that would make sense because I doubt Minter is like top of the league in innings pitched. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do switch off like every other day. But now you're down to 4, and you have a fairly good schedule to catch up with the Mets. You get a little closer with the Mets because after tonight, which you win, you play the Phillies 2 more times, which you could definitely win and sweep the Phillies. And after that, you play the Reds. Obviously, the Reds kind of destroyed us opening the series. I mean, it was 2-2, but the Reds looked like a much better team than us, if we're being honest. Um, and so you have a good opportunity to make up a couple of games there. The Mets keep having these 2 game series with the Astros, which pisses me off because they should have to play them more than 2 times each time they play in the series with them. But I guess the MLB is just favoring their schedule. And then they have an off day. No, they don't have an off day. I'm tripping. And no, they do have an off day. And then they finish with 3 against the Rangers. Um, Obviously, the Rangers aren't a great team, but they're about 500. Maybe they can steal 1 or 2 of the games against the Mets, and we take 2 out of 3 against the Reds, hopefully. And boom, you're right there. Um, in a spot where you could potentially be, hopefully, 2.5, 3 back, maybe. 2.5, 3 back sounds really good. And then as we look further ahead, I don't know why I'm doing this because it's still a minute away. Heading into the All-Star break, you end with series against the Cardinals, 4-game series against the Cardinals, who they own us, so that could be a struggle. 3-game series against the Nationals, which is good. 3 games against the Mets. That 3-game series with the Mets, if we win that series, realistically, we have a very good chance at being in first place after that series. If we sweep it, I would say we have a very, very good chance. And if we win 2 out of 3, I think we could be tied up. After we play the Reds immediate, what? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, Blake. And then you have another 4 game at the Nationals, and then boom, you're into All-Star break, where hopefully you're going to be represented by 9 Braves, plus pitchers, whoever the pitchers are. And so, obviously, very far looking ahead, you think that you could very much be in the lead, or at least only less than a handful of games behind the Mets when you enter All-Star break. Your schedule is not too hard, and you have a 3-game series against them, so you could definitely be in the yeah. But season series is different than just one series. You could lose 2 out of 3 in one series, or lose 1 out of 3 in a 4-game series, and then be lucky and win and sweep a 3-game series, and boom, you don't lose the series. After the Braves visit Cincinnati, that's immediately so hopefully, you can get the job done against the Mets in a 3-game series, take 2 out of 3 in the series you're supposed to, hopefully take 3 out of 1, or 3 out of 4 in the 4-game series that you have back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, but on the in caps against the Nationals, because right now you just have to keep cutting into the lead, and you don't want to be playing this game where you're having to be cat and mouse and catching up, and it's August 31st and you're still like 3 back, because if you're August 31st and you're 3 back, obviously you still have a chance, but you're running out of time, and every game puts that much more pressure. And when you have pressure on you, pressure tends to create cracks. And like we saw that with the Phillies last year. The Phillies had all the pressure on them in that series. They played against the Braves at the end of the year, and we dominated them. And because we were able to play much more loose, and we knew that we could still very much yeah, exactly. You want to play cat and mouse in June, not September, because you play cat and mouse in September, you're going to lose a lot of those games because of pressure. Play them a lot in August, yeah. Like, I saw something that was like 15 of the 19 games we play against the Mets this year come in July or later, which is crazy for a division rival. But also really good because if you're behind them, you have a lot of games where you can make up. Let's say you win 66% of the games. So that means in a 3-game series, you take 2 out of 3 every time. You just make up 5 games from those 15 games alone, and then you just have to play 1 game better than them for the rest of the season, and boom, you're division champs. Obviously, a lot easier said than done, because winning 10 out of 15 against a good team is difficult to do, but not impossible, and we do kind of own the Mets, if we're being honest. And so does Austin Riley. Yeah, the division scheduling has been terrible. It's really not been good. I feel like recently, I feel like the effort put into scheduling for baseball has not been nearly as good. I remember like growing up, like so many times early in the year, teams would come to the South because it was cooler in the South then, and you didn't have the chance of snow in the North. And in the summer, you would go up north a lot more. And now it feels like it's the reverse. I feel like we played so many games in Chicago and Colorado early in the year. For what reason? Because like those games get snowed out, and boom, you have a bunch of scheduling issues from that. Um, so I feel like it's not even just division scheduling. I think it's just scheduling in the MLB, and honestly, in all sports, I feel like scheduling has gotten lazy. I think like you do it to limit traveling time and traveling miles, but um, man, not good. Um, but outside of that, though, I do want to say that I don't do want to say, but like Acuna, I'm not worried about him, but the fact that they say it's not fractured and he doesn't play Sunday and he's still in Atlanta, the whole still in Atlanta thing kind of worries me because maybe you get a poor MRI. Like obviously you don't get poor MRIs anymore, but or X-rays, whatever he got. But like slightly worrying that he didn't join the team right away. But it was something serious enough where you had to get treatment um, in a in well you're in staying in your state and you can't travel with the team. And most of the time means that's an IL stint. I feel like I don't feel like that's like you don't travel with the team for 3 days and boom you're good. Um, yeah, how many times did the Mets Yankees get rain? Exactly. Like poor scheduling. Um, so who who knows what's with Acuna? Obviously worrying for me, but he'll be fine because Jerry Myers, whatever it was, showed that he wasn't. Um, there was no fracture. Hopefully, he's on a flight to Cincinnati. If anything, yep. Um, hopefully, you don't really. I mean, obviously, you would love for him to play in the series. If you don't necessarily need him, you can still take 2 out of 3 or sweep the series without him. So obviously, you can score 5 runs without him. Um, is it sustainable? No, obviously, because Acuna is such a big engine. But you can have a 3-game stretch where you miss him, especially against a Phillies team that's missing um, Bryce Harper. That's his name. Good lord. Um, but yeah, hopefully he's on a flight to Cincinnati. He meets there, and he finds some. I don't want to say he finds magic because he's been good, but he gets on fire in the place where he hit his first ever career home run. Um, I will never forget that where he blasted into the second deck of that Braves game. A Braves fan in that upper deck has just the time of his life celebrating that. He's high fiving everybody running down the stands. Man, that was so fun. I remember when I saw the clip, I was like, dang, that went really far. And I checked like Statcast said it went like 440. I was like, no way that's accurate because that went deep into the second deck in Cincinnati. So who really knows? But Statcast definitely lies because um, the Soler home run, they said it traveled like 454. Like that's didn't travel 454. You're low to BS. Um, outside of Acuna's injury, though, obviously I said this at the start. Hope Jansen is okay because a regular heartbeat is not your normal IL stint um, because it's a lot more. I don't want to say life threatening because he's almost 99.9% certain not going to die, but um, it's slightly more concerning health wise than just like a bruise or like scabbing on your hands or something. So obviously, hope he's okay. Um, and I'm interested to see how the team fills in without him because obviously you lose your closer and it's a big thing. I still remember when Vizcaino was our closer. Good lord, how the times have changed. Um, Rosario is still on his D or on his. Good lord, I'm so tired. I can't think of the word. His rehab assignment. There we go, down to AAA. And Matt's started in not started, but he's beginning his rehab assignment in Single A. I mean, like, I guess you can start him in Single A. I guess you're more careful with Matzik because of the mental concerns that he's been through, and maybe you just want to say so you can just dominate some people. But I feel like you could start him at least a little higher than that. and be able to be fine. Who knows though? But outside of that, you just hope you can take the next two for the Phillies, and then you go 7-0 on the week, or 6-0 because you didn't play on Monday. But 6-0 every week, that's the goal. But my teacher would be mad at me because my teacher always says you got to go 1-0 every day. So the goal 1-0 tomorrow because we went 1-0 today. Outside of that, though, obviously short stream didn't have a lot to talk about, just one game. But hopefully the Braves can sweep. And I'll see y'all later this week. Peace out.